Alright, in the last video we finished our navigation using our ADF navigation and our autopilot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start practicing with some guns. So, I know for a fact that we have some large warships over here around the nuclear power plant, so we'll go back there. So I put a waypoint, entered in, bearing of 243. We'll let the autopilot turn us. I got rid of the fog, so we were doing instrument conditions last time. Alright, we're going to be turning towards the target. And so while we do that, let's get our weapons set up. So, these are my Comet Missiles. These are most likely what we'd want to be shooting at ships with. We're also going to do some rocket passes, and we'll do some gunning. Alright, so now we rolled out, so as we showed in the last video, we're going to double check our bearing, 237. We're going to put that in now, 237. So we're going to home to the target. We're going to read it again, 237. We're headed right towards the nuclear power plant, so eventually we'll see it pop up there. Alright, so we're going to fire a Comet at the ships that are over there. So, we want to select what Comet we want. So if we look, our outermost three stations on either side, 1, 2, 3 on the port side and 1, 2, 3 on the starboard side are Comets. So let's fire starboard 1. That is the furthest one out on the wingtip. Alright, so now if I press spacebar, nothing happens. That's because the master arm is not on. So I'm going to turn on the master arm, but I need to make sure I don't press spacebar. I'll launch the missile. So I'm going to turn my monitor on. I'm going to zoom in a bunch, and I'm going to turn my laser on. My laser is going to help me hit targets. Now, as we all heard in the last weekly update on last Friday, they're still working on radars. There's been some radar bugs, so these may or may not hit. I have some good success with these missiles, but they're not perfect, partly because of the radar glitches. And the devs are making some some missile-specific parts, which I'm really excited about. So hopefully we'll get some better accuracy once those come out. So I'm not doing too much extra work on these missiles until those parts come out. So one thing we want to do when we're doing weapons here is we don't want to be coming screaming in at a high speed. So let's see how far we're only 4 miles away, all right? So let's start slowing down. So I recommend if you're going to do an attack run, you want to come in, let's say between 120 and 150 knots max. And so this makes perfect sense if you think about it, right? The faster you're closing in on a target, the less time you have to change your aim to hit the target. Right, so you might have a fraction of a second to get that laser on target and fire a missile before you miss. So there's a high chance of you missing. So as I said before, right, there's our nuclear power plant, our navigation system. The simple system took us right to where we wanted to go. All right, so we want to come in between 120 and 150 knots, because if we come screaming at 250 knots, we do not have a lot of time to put shots on target. So let's say we were trying to shoot at one of the ships with guns and we're coming at 250 knots, we might get 3 or 4 bullets on target before we have to pitch our nose up so we don't hit the ship. Let's say we're going 120 knots, about half that speed. We can put double the number of shots on. We have double the amount of time to get an accurate shot with a missile. Alright, so now we have autopilot master here. If we click that, it shuts all our autopilot off. Alright, there's our big ship, so let's roll in on them. Master arms on. Our missile is selected. All we have to do to fire is spacebar. Alright, so we're going to pitch down at this target, and I'm going to fire my missile. I'm going to pitch away. That was a hit, as you can see. And we actually almost got hit by the dead missile. So that beautiful hit on that ship there. Alright, so we have some more ships. We have a large ship. So now I'm going to leave this selected to tell us we already fired that. I'm going to select 1 on the other side. That means the outermost wingtip pylon is going to fire next. Alright, so I'm going to try not to hit spacebar until I'm ready, because that would fire the missile. So I can either use the camera on our left, or I can use the laser. I like to use the laser a lot. I'm going to eventually put a reticle on the camera, but as you can see, we can also look at the camera. The ship's directly in the middle of the camera. Alright, I'm going to use my laser. I'm going to fire my Comet. We'll watch it this time. Alright, that one was a near miss. Okay, that's fine. Again, we're still waiting on a lot of those missile parts before I keep tweaking these. So now I'm doing station 2, the next Comet in on the right side. Alright, So one thing I recommend too is, as far as tactics go, try to aim for bows and stern if the vehicles are moving. You know, this save right here, these ships are not moving, so they're much easier targets. But if they're moving, a ship moving left to right is much harder to hit. So now I'm going to aim at the center of the ship, fire my missile, we'll watch it go in, boom, perfect hit. All right, so that was a nice hit on the side of the ship. All right, as we can see, we have 2 comets on the port side. We have 1 on the starboard side. So let's select our next port missile. All right, we'll go after one of the smaller ships. Now, the ship is smaller, so that's going to be a harder target to hit. Also, you know, if these small ships were moving, those would be, you know, even harder to hit. So we're going to try to line up with our laser. That's going to give us the best accuracy. It's going to put the seeker of the missile as close to on target when we fire. I'm going to fire my missile. There it goes. Let's watch it. And a narrow miss, which again, I'd say, you know, part of it's tweaking, part of it is the missile parts. So let's go to 3. We'll bank around. All right, so as you can see at this nice slow speed, it's really easy to take our time and get on target. Now, the downside of this is, you know, I have damage off and these ships aren't shooting at us, but if they were shooting at us, you know, we'd be an easier target. But it's much better to hit our missiles and then accelerate and get out than it is to, you know, to just completely miss and take some hits. So there's another nice hit on the large ship. All right, so we should have 1 Comet left on Station 3. We knew that Stations 1, 2, and 3 on our port and starboard were Comets, so that's our last Comet. So let's go ahead and we'll try a small ship again. All right, again, these are going to be our hardest targets. All right, we're just coming around. All right, I'm using both bank and a little bit of rudder. All right, and we're going to use our laser, and I'm going to get it as close to that ship as possible. I'm going to launch my Comet, and we'll watch it, and boom, perfect hit. All right. So the closer you can get that laser, the reason I like to use the lasers, as you can see, the laser is on the same plane as the missiles. As you can see, it's the same height as the missiles. So if you put that laser on target, as soon as the missile launches, the radar comes online and it immediately can see what it's shooting at, and it will hit the target. All right, so what do we have left? We have 2 rocket pods. All right, so we don't want to select Station 4 because that would drop the rocket pods. We want to select rockets. Now that's going to use the pylons of Station 4, and it's going to use the logic to go through the pylons and actually shoot 1 missile per rocket pod every click of the space bar. All right, so as far as method of using rockets, the rockets, they have a drop-off. So they, you know, you need to aim above where you want. They're going to drop a little bit below, which makes sense, right? And so as we come in, we want to aim high. And then as we figure out if we're missing or hitting, so let's fire some off. That's low. Hit it again. That should hit. Now we need to lower our nose some more. One more time. And so we had, I think, what was that, 4 or 5 missiles, or 5 rockets hit. All right, so as we can see, the top rockets are going to go. Then once they're expended, those inboard or outboard, depending on what side we're on, rockets are going to expend. So each set's going to go 1 at a time until they're completely expended. Each side has 20 rockets for a total of 40. All right, so we'll come in for another rocket pass. And I'm just going to start dishing these out fast because, you know, you don't need to watch me shoot rockets all day. So I'm going to aim up a little bit high, and we'll see where those land. All right. All right, that was close, so we want to start lowering our nose. Those are hits. Those are hits. Those are hits. 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 So as you can see, we hit, I don't know, what do we hit? You know, up to 8 hits. As you can see, we don't have too many rockets left, so we're going to do a quick turnaround, and we will we'll just expend the rest of our rockets on this next trip around. So the Forgfoot is nice and maneuverable. It was designed to be a ground attack craft, so I want it to be able to go slow speed, which is a hallmark of ground attack craft, and I want it to be maneuverable. And, you know, if you had, like, you know, interceptor jet, it's not going to be able to go very slow because the wing's not designed for it. These types of planes, this or the A-10, are designed to go nice and slow, stay on target, and do multiple attacks. So that's why it's designed this way. So as you can see, our rockets are all gone. So now, to save weight, if we want, we can select Station 4, we can press the space bar, and we can say goodbye to our rocket pods. All right, let's look at our, as you can see, our fuel pods, those are 0. So let's go to 5 on either side. Let's press spacebar, and let's say goodbye to our fuel pods. All right, so now we're completely clean. All we have left is guns. So let's do some gun runs. So if you remember us saying, if you come in super fast, it reduces the amount of time you have on target. So as you can see, we were able to get 8 hits with rockets on that big ship when we had we were coming in here at about 150 knots. Let's go up to 250 knots so I can show you what I was talking about. If we come in at max speed, we have very little time to get on target. So one, there's the ship. So I see it, I'm aiming. All right, so I have guns selected. As you see how quickly we're coming in? Right, I'm getting hits, but I don't have a hell of a lot of time to pull out. Now I have to pull out, right? So I was able to get a lot of hits just because I was so far away. All right, so now let's do a quick turnaround. Now you'll see what I mean. As you saw before, we were able to stay nice and close to the objective and get all our shots on target. Well, now, look at how little time I have to get on target because I'm going so fast. All right, I got like, what, 2 hits there, and now I have to pull away or I would have crashed. All right, so again, let's slow down. Let's go down to 150 knots about. So that's 100 knots slower than we were. And let's see how much easier this is to get a good gun run. All right, so we're turning right around. We're not going out far. All right, so let's look for the ship. There he is. All right, as you can see, look how much time I have. It looks like we're barely moving. All these bullets are hitting on target here. That's why it's good to come in slow. Now, of course, you have to weigh this with getting shot at by the ships. Now, currently, I have damage off, and they're not shooting anyways because I think they populated a while ago anyways, but slow speed is good for, you know, ground attack. That's why a lot of these ground attack planes have things like speed brakes. You have a lot of the World War II stuff had dive brakes because the slower they go, the more shots they could get on target. As you see, we're getting a ton of shots on target because we are going nice and slow. I have plenty of time to get lined up in that boat. Let's use our camera this time because we have plenty of time. So I use the camera. I didn't even look out the window. All right, so that's going to give us plenty of time to get on target. All right, we'll come back around. All right, let's look. So something important just popped up, and it actually shows me something I need to fix too, but let's just try to get rid of the... Okay, so our bullets are out. Perfect timing. This red light came on, our low fuel light. Now, it's supposed to blink. I need to fix that. We're down to 156 gallons. So one thing we want to do, let's slow down. All right. Now, we weren't going too fast, but if we're going 250 knots like we were for a while there, we're going to be burning a ton of fuel. So by reducing our speed there, we're able to reduce our burn rate. So we're down to 26 RPS. So when we were doing 250, we're at 60 RPS. We're burning a lot less fuel now. So I need to fix that. That light should be flashing. I know why that's not working, so I need to fix it. But we're down to 143 gallons here, so we're going to land. So that's why it's red. It should be blinking. It tells you, go land. All right, so we'll put our gear down. We'll put our flaps to full. Approach speed here, I like to do between 90 and 100 knots. I do not like to get slower than 90. We start getting some pretty, like right now, you know, we're under 90. We start getting some stall effects where the plane is fighting us. We can't get our nose up. We start sinking too fast. So about 100 knots is a really nice approach in this plane. It allows us to not slam the runway. We get a nice flare. It actually feels very much to me as a former jet airline pilot. It feels very much to me how a real jet would land. So coming at 100 knots, full flaps, landing gear down. We can even look outside to double check. Yep, gear's down. All right, so we're getting a little slow. So all I did was 2 taps of the throttle there. So even with this really low sensitivity throttle, it allows us to change our airspeed pretty quickly, and it allows us to be very accurate. So we're going too fast here. I did a couple taps of 2 to slow down. We're coming in even super steep. This would be a go-around in real life, but you know, this isn't real life. So, all right, a couple taps of the 2 and nice flare, and we're down. All right, so I'm going to use the down arrow for our brakes. I'm also going to reduce the throttle. All right, now we have a 90-degree turning nose wheel, so I'm just going to go full left arrow, and as you can see, we have a nice 90-degree nose wheel that lets us turn nice and tight. So the Forgfoot in real life was designed, like a lot of Soviet aircraft, to be able to take off of rough, improvised, you know, dirt strips. So, you know, this is nice and rugged. I have hardpoint locks in the landing gear, so they won't collapse if you have a nice hard landing. You know, you hit too hard, you're gonna break them, but you know, that keeps them from collapsing like if you didn't have gear locks. You know, it has nice, you know, 90-degree steering on that nose wheel. That allows you in tight conditions, let's say you got too close to the end of the runway, you can still turn around and taxi. All right, so I'm gonna bring the thrust all the way to 0. I'm gonna hold down my arrow button, put on the brake release. We have 97 gallons left. All I have to do is shut off the engine start-stop, shut off the master power, and we are shut down. And okay, so I shut down the power, but the canopy's closed. Because it's one of these flip switches, we can still get out. All right, I have an extra parachute on, but we could store a parachute, and that's the basics of the SU-25 Forgfoot, which we'll be releasing on the workshop. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please put them in the comments of the workshop page. And if you have any questions, please ask them there, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.